You are now live. I still find that so funny. I love it when they say we're telling your followers, I love you followers, that you started a live video. This is Quip calling. Oh, brilliant. Helly Acton, author, has joined, and then another thing has to happen that I have to press. Yeah, I'm pressing it. I can't believe this. Too efficient. This is like going to be the best one. She's going to come. She's waving. Well, anyway, I'll just we're
Woo!
Hey, you're there. How
Nice
are
to
you?
meet you.
It's so exciting.
I know, it's so exciting.
Oh, congratulations. Have you got, Helly, have you got a glass nearby?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm just going to make us loud. I'm just doing this. No, cheering you first.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, Helly, cheers to your most amazing, amazing book,
Oh,
The
thank you.
Shelf. This is,
Thank you so much.
and you know, oh well, cheers. I
Basically.
got to do a sip, and everyone else who's watching us, please take a sip of their early evening tipple. What are you on, Helly? Now?
Sorry, I'm I'm on ginger ale because I'm pregnant.
No, really? Like the
Yes.
character in the book. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
So much about the book we've got to
So
talk
I've got
about.
the same colour.
Beatrice has joined us. Hi, Helen. Beatrice, I love her. But is this your first child?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And whoever said that pregnancy is wonderful and glowy, don't get me wrong, I'm really happy. But
Yes.
that's not. It's not. It's not at all.
How how pregnant are you? I mean, how many weeks, months, and years?
5.5 months.
Oh, so you're used to it now, in the
Yes,
sense
yeah.
that you might have changed shape slightly.
Quite a lot. My
One
mum
never knows.
lives
You
in
never know.
France. I showed her the other day, and she was like, neat. I was like, it's not. It's massive.
It's a huge adventure. So now I've got to talk to you about this book and the pregnancy, because it's kind of, this is your first novel, isn't it, Helly?
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're only just talking about it, so we're very lucky to have you at Quip. So what is the feedback? What is the feedback? Because I've just literally finished it about 10 minutes before now.
Thank you. Sorry, you must have so much to read. Thank you.
Well, I'm not a good reader, but can I just say, Helly, I got emotion. I got emotion.
Good.
And there's you being pregnant. And are you emotion as a pregnant person? A bit at the moment.
I've been emotional a couple of times
Yeah.
for really irrational things,
Yes.
which I'm too embarrassed to reveal. Maybe after a few more sips of ginger ale. But I have been emotional. I mean, it's a big year. It's two babies, the book and the actual.
Well, you see, you said it. Being a copywriter originally, no, you're very clever, Clogs. You're a lawyer first, then you did the copywriting, and I was just going to leap in there because copyright. Explain what copywriting is, because I think there's a clue to how you're so brilliant in your novel writing now.
Sure.
So what you have to do as a copywriter.
Yeah, there are lots of different types of copywriting. So my copywriting that I've been doing for 10 years is in advertising. So it's all about coming up with ideas for TV ads, which involves coming up with a lot of story ideas.
Yes.
And involves like quick sentences, snappy headlines, and things like that.
I thought you were going to say that.
Helped.
Because also you have to encapsulate. I mean, this is an amazing, I mean, there are many ways to skin a cat, as they say, but this is an amazing way into your novel, because your experience of nailing stuff, like you have to know what you're saying.
Yeah, you have to be very pointy, and sharp,
pointy.
And you have to, you have to have a concept. It's I would say probably I'm a stronger conceptor than I am a writer. I'm not a lyrical prose sort of. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, it's fascinating how other people kind of say, the mix. For instance, I always quote Angela Barnes, who is a comedian, but she said she was a writer first who taught herself to be a comedian. And so, which is quite an interesting journey about, we're just all a mix. And it doesn't matter how. Okay, so this book, I've got to. Okay, so Helly Acton, how did you come up with the concept? This is really interesting that you're going from somebody who has to concept. Oh yes, bookie. Somebody said Angela Barnes is great. Putting the thing up. This is Karen, our friend, all these people are just loving what you do. So you're saying that your training was in sort of conceptualizing stuff, you know, getting a concept.
Yes.
So just talk to us about how you got this idea. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, the idea, it came from sort of a few different sources. I was sitting on a balcony in Corsica with friends, and we were talking about...
Please don't, nobody must hate. We love Helly. We mustn't be jealous of Helly just because she was in Corsica. Crack on. Yes.
And we were all chatting about sort of reality shows, and like some of the more ridiculous ones that have started cropping up. We were talking about like the ugly bits and the good bits, and then we got on to sort of what reality show would you go on if you had to choose one, and which would be the worst one to go on. And for me, it was like, I would never go on Naked Attraction because I'm not a nude person, and that would be my biggest nightmare.
Yes.
And
it's good to torture yourself. So you did a torturing yourself conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Would you rather go on I'm a Celeb or Naked Attraction? And then I started thinking, it would be pretty embarrassing to get dumped horribly in front of everyone on TV. So that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then that got me thinking, you know, there's so many shows about finding love and finding the one, you know, like that should be everyone's goal. But there are no shows about losing love. And then I started to subvert, okay, well, what would that look like? Because I think a lot of my thinking, I tried to subvert things and, you know, try and find the opposite. And so I thought, what would a show about losing love look like? Oh God, that would be being dumped on TV. Oh, that would be really savage. Oh my God. And then it just spiraled into this idea. And it all happened in my brain quite quickly. And then I thought, well, you know, if it was women being dumped, why would they be dumped? Because they're not good enough, because they're not worthy.
Yes. Oh my God.
And then they've got to prove that. How do they prove that? So, okay, well, they've got to take part in these challenges, because all reality shows have these challenges. And then it just spiraled. And it was really good fun to, you know, I think a lot about ideas, about story ideas, film, TV. I haven't been to creative writing school. And just, I love this idea so much more than the others that I just had to put pen to paper, and it was just...
Beatrice is saying such a great idea, because all of us, you know, writers, you go, nobody has done this idea, and yet you are borrowing from something that is so unoriginal. I mean, it's a kind of paradoxical, isn't it? Because your influences are so kind of like, TV, but the layering of, for me, the layering of this book, you don't really know when you start it where it's going to go. And so you have the big idea, which is amazing. And it could have been very linear and, you know, parody, and there's no novel. But what is amazing, by the time holding the book up, you get, and I've marked all the amazing things, you've hooked in the reader. So whatever the weather, you have hooked in that reader, because nobody quite knows what it is. For instance, okay, so you start your heroine, Amy. Who do you base her on? Is she a bit of you? I know everyone always says that.
I'd say 75% me for sure.
Yeah, and she's a size 12, I noticed. So she's to me, that's tiny, but you know, so she's not going to be the stereotype skinny, but she's not like we're purported to believe
size 8 to be a size 8.
Exactly. So you've gone there. And then Jamie, you've painted the boyfriend very early without giving anything away, but I might have to because I'm so excited by it. You just, when you start reading, you don't really know where it's going, because he is so unlikable. How did you tackle that in terms of I mean, for instance, he doesn't like her best friend, but he said, I'd like her if she waxed her moustache and stop trying to be funny, which is quite an interesting theme of the book. That stop wanting to be funny comes in quite a few times, and it's so are you an angry woman when you wrote this, or were you an angry woman?
I love that it comes across that way, but I wasn't an angry woman. In general, I think when I was writing it and doing sort of research, I was asking friends about little snippets of stories of like terrible boyfriends, what they've done, and I was remembering some of my terrible ex-boyfriends. And then I suppose in the moment when I was remembering some of the stuff they might say to me, I got a little bit heated inside. and that's when I wrote it. No, in general, I'm not an angry person.
No, but what is somebody's just a lovely bookie, Karen has said, I want to punch Jamie in the face so many times, and that again, it's on the one hand, it is you kind of think it's going to be one kind of book, but it actually isn't, and the guy doesn't ever redeem himself, does he?
No,
you don't allow him to do that.
I had to be a little bit careful, I suppose, with Jamie, because he needed to be vile in order to dump her on the show, but he couldn't be so vile that you'd think, well, why on earth is she still with him? What is she doing?
Yes, exactement.
I mean, who in their right mind would be with this guy?
This is so central to the book.
I've heard stories from friends told in hindsight about even worse things that some of the people they've gone out with them, and personal experience. I've put up with lots of terrible things.
Yeah.
Because of that whole idea of, like, you know, in my personal experience when I was younger, I was afraid of being single. I always wanted to be in a relationship because if I wasn't, I'd be lonely. Yes. And so I would tolerate these terrible things. I wouldn't now that I'm older and I've got the experience.
And
but
also you've upped the duff as well. So there's another another obsession within the book, because there's a symbolism of, you know, we should actually explain the construct of, I'll do it quickly because I'm pretending I'm you. Well, no, I should let you, but it is this is a mix, your own version of The Handmaid's Tale and George Orwell in 1984. I think, or Animal Farm, because it's so symbolic, and yet it encapsulates behavior patterns. And the people who actually invented Big Brother were psychologists as well, weren't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
they were.
It wasn't an accident. It wasn't just twatty TV.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, the understanding of the characters. So do you say what the people had to do? Because people are saying, oh, they really, really, really want to read it. So just say a couple of sentences how the person ended up on this sort of hybrid of a reality show.
Sure. I mean, I can say the story.
Are you allowed?
Yeah.
People have got to read it because it just unbelievably, look at my little markers there. It just draws you in. I don't think I've read a book quite like it. It's very weird and compelling.
I'm glad. I love it when people say it's weird, because I was, while it's a light-hearted sort of fun read, I was trying to slightly nudge in some Black Mirror vibes.
Explain that. Explain the Black Mirror thing, because I'm not always conversant in modern things.
As in Black Mirror the series by Charlie Brooker.
But what would be the
impressive?
And what was the comparison?
I suppose in the shelf I was trying to create a slightly, like it's a light-hearted read, but it's slightly dark if you look at it from different angles and you really think about what they're being forced to do and how they're being perceived.
Yes, so you could never read
the current of darkness.
I think it's incredibly sinister. Really sinister. That's why I think it's like The Handmaid's Tale, because you have your reality show, you draw your characters. Talk us through what was in your mind when you by the person is duped into being in this construct.
Yes, sorry, I need to say the story, don't I got sidetracked. And so Amy is in this long-term relationship with Jamie. They've been together for 2 years. She thinks it's about time that he proposed, and she believes that he's whisking her away on a dream holiday to pop that big question. But instead of doing that, he actually dumps her on the set of a brutal new reality television show called The Shelf. And he breaks up with her in front of a live studio audience. And she's joined by she agrees to participate for various reasons. And she's also joined by 5 other women who've also been dumped. And together they have to, they're pitted against each other to try in a series.
That's a very fascinating area, how you paint those characters and how you, bitches are going, oh my God, this is great. This is a wonderful, nobody's done this book before and it's well told. But how do you deal with the women pitting against each other? Let's just extract that.
So at the start, so what the producers want is for it to be a competition between women and who's the best woman and who's the most worthy of being crowned a keeper. But instead of doing that, the women all club together and they decide that the show's rubbish and they want to rewrite the rules. So it doesn't go quite to plan for the producers. But yeah, so that's
no,
the story.
absolutely. I've got to come in because you're such a bright person. So obviously, we wouldn't normally think that being a keeper is something that we would all advocate or aspire to. So that's what I find fascinating about this book, is that it's so multi-layered, because I mean, you're younger than me, but we weren't put on this world to be wives and mothers and keepers, or were we? What do you think?
No, I don't think women are born to be mothers or born to be wives. I think every person is born to be happy in whatever, you know, in whatever role makes them happy, and you know, regardless of gender. So yeah.
And do you find, because I found you had such a strong original idea, and then all the characters came to life. I kid you not, when we go back to the reality show and everyone has to read the letters, I actually, when you were writing that, did you feel that you were kind of manipulating, I say that with love, a format? I found it really touching. You'd got me by then.
Yeah. That's a really important chapter, I think, actually, because for me, I really wanted to, in terms of the cast of characters, I wanted to be really diverse, and I wanted to show people from all walks of life.
Yes.
And I also, in that chapter, I really wanted to sort of get more under their skin and show a little bit more of why they might be like the way they are, and sort of what their family dynamics are, which would have shaped them. Yes. You know, with some of those characters, it was difficult for me to write too in depth about them, because you know, they're experiences that I haven't had. So you know, I had to be sort of. But
also, how could you show that? Because your prism is in this reality show that the reader knows is fake, and the reader's been taken in, and it's like you introduce the characters, then we go into this reality show, and we all know reality shows. That's what I said to you on Twitter, because of course I've done Celebrity Big Brother myself.
Oh
yes. And I've also done Splash. I'm not proud or ashamed.
You must know so much more than I do.
And I was reading it, and I thought, this woman is a genius, because you've obviously, as a creative, you've put yourself totally inside that confinement. But I've been in that confinement.
I hope I was accurate, because you know, I did so much research on how these things work. You know, I couldn't dive too deeply into the mechanics behind the scenes or anything. So. I was always nervous about seeing someone who had worked or been on Big Brother.
No, it's the most exposing thing, even though everybody tries to be covered up, because that's survival. So what was interesting is it gave you, and you did it so brilliantly, all these layers of defensiveness. So how do you think somebody said, I love the character, Catherine said, I love the character of Jackie, our heroine, our hero. How do they deal with, because a lot of your commentary, one of the long-listed, shortlisted Quip prizes, The Blessed Girl, it's about social media, and a lot of this is our culture right now. How did you, I thought you tackled it, how did you talk about how the human deals with commentary? Because, you know, it's an archetype. You've made this character kind of stereotype construct. How do they deal with commentary, the cruelty of commentary?
Yeah, well, I mean, that involved just writing those comments involved some horrible dark research on in the Mail Online comment section, and all of my comments that I wrote were inspired by real comments in the Daily Mail on reality TV star, and just looking at what they had to deal with, because I'm sure they do read them. It's impossible not to when you know someone's talking about you. Yes. Just imagining that emotion, that I would put myself in their shoes and imagine how I would feel if I read a comment like that about me, or if I read a comment like that about me or my sister.
And how's it going to be? Yeah, like even one comment can break someone, and that's why some people don't engage at all. But in this, like, you are now having to show the world your wonderful book. You know, it's a dance, isn't it?
It is. You've got, you know, I've got to have a thick skin. You know, I come from advertising, you know, a world where clients can be quite cutting, and you know, they can throw out your ideas, we'll just say that's useless.
Yes.
So I have built up some resilience. But
what did you
sorry, carry on.
What did you think about the because of the people are putting thumbs up like mad. What are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are we back on?
Yeah.
This is one of those funny little things. How did I found the harshness of Flick, the 1950s housewife with her own agenda, turning against the heroine? I fell in love with Amy. I thought that was a really helpful, interesting, unusual depiction of women without judgment, but how women do have to stand up for themselves against each other. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, and I think with Flick, she's probably had to get used to defending herself and her choices that are probably seen as anti-feminist. So she probably does come across as defensive and quick to sort of rise if anyone tries to challenge her. Like I said, with the cast, I think I wanted them to be really diverse. So I think I needed someone in there, I wanted someone in there who could represent the choices we make if we do want to, you know, go down a more traditional female route of.
But her husband, but she was in a relationship that we, as a reader, I just thought absolute hateful twat.
Well, I equate him to Jamie. I mean, everyone hates Jamie, but what about Simon? I mean,
Simon almost worse, because to my mind, because he's older and should have more maturity. We do evolve. Forgiveness is a great theme as well in this. So do you think that's our go-to? I see you as a kind of morality, a parable. I want you to be a parable. No, because people are seeking answers, Helly, aren't they? And
they are, but I have to caveat it with I'm not an expert. I can only write from my own experiences.
No,
I'm not a therapist or psychologist.
Oh look, some people are saying I'm hoping to finish this tonight. It's a very, you know, I got sent it early, and I was going to write a thing. Marion Keyes said a lovely thing. Tell us the story when you read Marion Keyes's. It's nice.
I was at work because I still have a day job, and everyone was out at lunch, and I was working over my lunch hour, and I saw my phone light up and looked over, and I had to blink a few times, and then I had to think, like, is this a hoax account? Like, is it Marianne Keyes? And I looked, and it was her, and I was like, what on earth? Because I didn't know she'd been sent it or was reading it. I had no idea. And then she sent me, as Marianne would, the most lovely, wonderful, beautifully worded message full of praise. I screamed.
Of course.
One other woman happened to be Irish and happened to be a book lover. So I ran up to her and I was like, look what I just got. And she read it, and we read it together. And then she helped me, like, reply so in a way that I wouldn't sound mad. Because I wanted to reply quickly, but I didn't want to be like garbled response. So.
Measured. And because the signal of this wonderful interview is ducking and diving, I'm coming back to explain, because we're going to edit all this together, because lots of people will be listening to this. So you got the amazing accolade from Marion Keyes, and then you didn't obviously want to go. One doesn't want to kind of be uncool, but she obviously got it. She got it, didn't she?
Yeah.
And then another. God, there's so much to talk to you about. But what interested me as this first novel, which is so exciting for you, and the first baby, is can you talk about rejection? Because people always get cheered up by rejection. I'm personally a specialist in rejection. So you wrote the book, and then what happened? You sent it off, and then tell the readers and the writers out there.
Sure. So I wrote the book. I was a bit naughty actually with my process, because I thought publishing a book was like a pipe dream and it only happened to other people. I didn't want to. I was nervous to invest too much of my time. I liked the idea, but I was nervous to invest too much of my time in case I was being an idiot. And that actually, it was like as if it would happen for me. But I'd been dipping in and out of the book for about a year and writing it on my commute into work. And then I eventually got so far that I thought, I've got to, done so much of this, I've got to at least give it a go.
Yes.
Because, like, why not? What's the worst?
Gone too far. You've gone too far. Yeah.
And, you know, I would hate myself if I just didn't give it a try. So I took a week off work before my 35th birthday, and I promised myself that by my 35th birthday, I would have submitted it to some literary agents.
Oh, that's so interesting. You gave yourself a task.
Yeah, I'd like a goal and a task.
Good.
To do this. Took days off work. And I finessed the first 3 chapters because that's what they were looking for. Like they say, have the full manuscript, but you know, we just want the first 3 chapters. So I hadn't actually written the full manuscript when I sent it in. I'd only really finessed.
Well, that's what, you know, a lot of prizes are like that. Our prize is slightly different because we, for the unpublished, they have to have got the novel there, because by the time people are chosen, they only have about 2 weeks, unless well, some people probably could write a novel in 2 weeks, but that's amazing. So then with your beautifully honed 3 chapters,
I'm happy with, and I tried not to go over them and over them again, as you know.
Oh god, yeah.
I just thought, I've got to do this, and I had this deadline, the self-imposed deadline, and I sent it on to 6 agents, and I looked them up and sort of tried to find out what they specialised in and what their subject interest areas were. Sent it off to 6, and yeah, no, I got rejected from 3 or 4.
I personally would like to have them named, but maybe that would be me. Because you have a hit. You have a hit here.
Oh, thank you. Haley, my amazing agent from Madeline Milburn, was the first to respond, and she actually I was floored because she responded in about 15 minutes.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's so dramatic.
Because I expected to submit it and then have a few weeks, you know, where I'd be wondering, I wonder if...
And they go to meetings and they have lunches in the days before lockdown. I mean, agents kind of tootle about, don't they? Yes, they don't respond immediately. So this was an amazing...
Yeah, and, you know, I'm sure I also caught her at the right time, and, you know... But, no, she was really excited about the novel, and I couldn't quite believe I'd received an email like it back, and I went into meltdown. I phoned my mum, I phoned my sister... Brilliant call.
But it was all there. But in your 3 chapters, again, the fact is, on paper you could go, well, this is a program about a reality show, but it actually isn't. So your clever agent and yourself, that's why I say it kind of is a parable. But I don't want to take people down the wrong. It makes you care, and it's so. It's simple, but it's actually very affecting, about young women, camaraderie. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's the real story here, is the women's stories, the relationship stories, and the camaraderie, and what sort of women have to face. The shelf, the reality show, is just kind of the environment that it's set in that allows those stories to play out.
Do you think, when you were writing it, I wanted to get into your head, did you not think that they were a load of twats, a lot of sort of expediently exploiting all sorts of things, because you introduce all your characters who come up with these really patronizing, helpful, like Calm, the person who, and they all believe that women's brains are different to men's brains, all this rubbish. You kind of got away with a lot of stereotypes, and I find that remarkable.
Yeah, I did. And, you know, some of those characters were definitely pushed to the extreme, I think.
Yeah.
I sort of wanted to do that to really get the point across.
That's the clever thing. That's the clever thing, because you didn't lose the reader, because I knew what you were doing, and when you actually, you know, that thing when you're writing, you go, well, do I put a real name in there, or do I kind of do a close name? And it's always a debate, because you can't mix up real reality in fiction, and this is fiction. And so I kind of saw your terrain, and it was kind of glaringly obvious, and yet totally engaging. I've certainly had feedback saying, oh, you know, that's not quite realistic, you know, because people wouldn't really talk like that or be like that. But I don't know. I think some people absolutely would talk like that. But, you know, I did push it to extremes. But no, it was great.
I don't think it's that far from the truth.
No, and as someone, and oh God, I need to come make you talk again, because we had some glitches in our technology. But as somebody who has been in the Big Brother house and the loneliness of it, and yet the choice, the shelf, the pretext that you created, it was kind of plausible, but it wasn't, and yet it worked. And
but I mean, like you would know a lot more than I would. I'm fascinated by that. So
well, that's why I said to you on Twitter, it was very derailing, but then I made a choice to do it, or it was a possibility that I could have said no or yes to. And the way human beings turn on each other to survive is probably human nature, but horrible to be part of. And and so that's why I was fascinated with the two women. I didn't like Flick at all, but then you could, but she wasn't hateful. So you're showing all kinds of human characteristics very objectively.
And I kind of wanted, because I knew Flick wasn't going to be hugely popular, but I always wanted with each of them to show, to give some reasons and to allow people to understand why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
So
this is just so now. So 5 months. Oh God, we haven't got enough. So the Comedy Women in Print Prize. You know about it now. Well, you do now.
I do. It's
kind of taken over my life. So it's
such a brilliant initiative. Just
to keep doing it, it takes up a lot of time. But then when you read new debut novels, it is so exciting because you go, you've written something amazing. I think it's really. And also like full of surprises. I know that sounds I don't know how to describe this book because it isn't like anything else. So are you?
No, I know what genre to really describe it in.
No,
some lists it's been like a rom-com, but it's not a rom-com.
No,
so it's like a reverse rom-com. It's
What I love is your original, and Comedy Women in Print is we have to have more original witty writers, and the wit shines through in this new thing. So will you talk to us again, and what do you have to do now? So the book, when does the book come out? Has it come out now?
The Shelf?
Yeah,
the Shelf is out now. It came out on the 9th of July, but I've got a book coming out next year. So
have you finished that one? That's scary.
I sent the first draft in and I'm awaiting some feedback.
Second novels are interesting. And so speaking as someone who has that experience, maybe let's talk again about the second one. You'll have had the baby by then. So I just think I love this book, and I want to and put it on Instagram. I think it's really emotion.
Thank you so much.
Witty and emotion.
I hope it didn't bring back too many bad memories from you.
There were a lot of bad memories in the Big Brother house, and also doing Splash where I had to dive. But there is a time in one's life where you do those things because you can. And then there's a time in your life when you don't do those things. And that's where I'm at now. I'm championing you. So look after yourself.
Thank you.
And listen to this back, because I'm doing it because our lovely man Jamie will take out the fizzly bits. But I covered you. When you went very quiet, I covered you. I pretended I channeled you.
Brilliant. In supporting women.
It's totally that is so exciting that is what's happening through witty literature. I love this book. Will you be safe now? What would the ginger ale now more?
Yeah,
congratulations,
I'll knock back
Helly.
More ginger ales and maybe have a shot of tea.
A shot of tea, there's always scope for a variation. And what I love is all the questions that you've got, your whole lovely people have said. Okay, well, Helly, Acton, The Shelf, amazing.
Thank you so much.
Will we press end? I'm pressing end. I love you very much. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.